so that for the people that want to watch the replay on this, we can. So because we're such a small group, what we're going to be able to do is, if you want, you can raise your hand and I can go ahead and unmute you, and you're welcome to get on camera. You're welcome to be a part of this however you like. Jay will be joining us a little bit later. He's at church right now. He is going to show up at 9:30. So if you guys have questions and I just don't feel like I'm going to be the one to answer it, I'm going to go ahead and take it down and we'll give it to Jay, and then he can address a lot of this stuff with us as well. But why don't we go ahead and kind of just jump right in. And I do invite you at the bottom of the screen, there's a chat, so you can either drop your questions in there, or if you use the hand raising feature of Zoom, I can bring you on. And so rather than me just jumping in and just being like, this is what it looked like, does anyone have any initial questions? Anything that you want to have covered, or maybe you've already started this process and you're getting stopped in some places. Is there anyone that's got something like that, or do you just want to start looking at what the process looked like?
Start looking at the process.
Okay, Vince, thank you for jumping in. Appreciate it. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is I'm going to go ahead and bring up my desktop and just start going through the images here. Give me 1 second. Let me know when you can see my screen.
I could see it.
Okay. So this was the unit, right? This is what we walked into when we first started calling around. And this unit is actually in Alhambra, California, right? So it's in the San Gabriel Valley. It's close to Jill and I. My wife and I, we live in South Pasadena. And so this unit is really only about 10 minutes away from us. And the person who lived in here before just lived in here, right? They dealt with what they dealt with as a tenant. You can see up here. Can you guys see my mouse? So if I'm moving it around, can I use it as a pointer? Can you see that?
I don't.
Yes.
Okay. So you can see up here and over here, there's actually water stains. And then as we go through these images, you can see these cabinets are sort of broken. Back here, the walls are really bad. This is the wood floor going from the kitchen. This is kitchen tile going into the living area where if you go this way, there's going to be a patio as well as where we put our dining set. This is one of the bedrooms. So we've got a lot of broken stuff, and we're in an Asian community. And so a lot of the Asian community will put paper up to block out sun, as well as a lot of red, they put a lot of red ornamental stuff that goes up on the doors and things like that. So it creates just a lot of things to take down. When we took this down, the paper was actually stuck to the window still. Yeah. So you get it. It's basically somebody's living here. This is kind of a good indication of what the paint looked like. Right, so this is in the kitchen. Right, so you can see how all of this paint, it's kind of bubbling, things like that. And again, just an indication of what all of the units are going to look like when we take them over, right? Because we've actually been offered more units in this building once they become available. That's the patio. And then this is just normal wear and tear, right? Here is the bathroom, and this white color is not actually the color it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be perfectly clear. Rot in the walls, just water damage and rot. So when we walked into this unit, oh, here's some more. Actually, this will be the last one. The bathroom was the worst by far. And you can see right here, like everything's just kind of falling apart, cracking, different stains, somewhat looks like mold. Don't know if that's mold or not, but this is really kind of what we're taking over in this unit. And then the water stains. And more stains. This is under the sink. And then this is what it's starting to look like as we're taking it over. So this is a great place for us to start. So why take over a unit that's like this, right? Like why did I even like bother with this? I'm going to go ahead and unshare my screen. If I can figure out how. Did it unshare or is it still sharing? Oh, there we go. You have to be smarter than Zoom. All right, that's what's going on. All right, so why take it over? Well, because when we understand who it is that we're serving as short-term rental operators, the quality of the inside of the unit doesn't actually make that much difference as long as the unit is in an area where our travelers are gonna want to be. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna mute everybody real fast, guys. If you need something, just raise your hand. I can unmute you. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean by that is that if you know who you're serving ahead of time, like if you've determined that you're serving business travelers and your unit is going to work for that business traveler, well, then when you're walking into this unit, you should already know that. You're not walking in making your decisions based on what the inside looks like. Not right away, anyway, right? Like obviously there's going to be some caveats there. But when Jill and I went and looked at this unit, we already knew that it was close to the downtown area. The area itself was safe. It was also, it's extremely walkable, meaning that it had a high walk score. So when you're looking at things like walk score and you want your walk score to be over 75, well, this had a walk score of 84, right? So we already know that this is actually going to fit our customer. And so what's left for us is having that conversation with the property owner to make sure that they're going to be able to convert that unit into something that's actually going to transform into an experience for our customer. So when we're looking at this unit and it's all beat up, that's actually a huge opportunity for us inside of the conversation that we're going to have with them that says, look at how your unit is now. And just imagine for a second what it's going to look like when we're done transforming it. So the question that I've been getting a lot since actually posting those images in the mastery group is, do you have to pay for that? Like, did we have to come out of pocket to rehab that unit? And the answer, of course, and now you guys will have this in your arsenal, is no. No, we don't have to pay for that because we're taking over a unit just the same way we would if we were going to move in there and live there. So the property management company or the owners of the property, whoever's responsible for that unit, now needs to go in and fix it up anyways. They have to get it ready for the next tenant. So if you've had an effective conversation with that property owner, if they're wanting you to move in because they're excited about the way that you're now going to take care of the unit, then having the conversation around paint, around repairs, all of that makes a lot of sense. Because when you give this unit back, let's say that Jill and I move out of this unit 4 years from now, 5 years from now, whatever. Let's say we sell our business or whatever, like we're not going to be a part of it anymore. Now, any repairs that they do getting ready for us are still, the unit's going to be in the exact same condition when they get it back. They don't have to worry about spending a little bit more money or maybe taking a little bit more care when they're painting the borders, they're making it look a little nicer. because now when they get it back, it's going to be in the exact same condition, right? It's going to look just as good as the day they gave it to us, and the unit's going to be well taken care of. They're not spending money just to have it destroyed again, right? So we were able to walk into this unit and say, look, this is what we're doing. Because remember, we're going in and we're telling them exactly what we do. We say, this is the quality that we're looking for. Borders nice and straight, paint not from going from ceiling onto wall, paint not going from ceiling onto cabinets, things like that. We want it nice and clean. This is what we need because our customer type actually demands this type of care, this type of quality, right? So having that conversation became really, really easy, which is how we ended up with our unit looking as nice as it does, right? And so I'll go ahead and share my screen again and we can kind of look through the end result. Everyone say hi to Jill. She's bringing me food.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, Vince. Who else is on?
Lots of people. Okay, so can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. Jenin asks, have you had any problems with landlords? Oh, you asked it privately, but I'm going to say it out loud, Jenin. I'm sorry. Have you had any problems with landlords once they understand your model, wanting to charge you more rent in order to get a piece of the profit? That has not come up with any of our conversations yet. I know that it happens. Oh, I know that it happens. We have not had a single landlord bring up them now making more money. It seems to be more a concern of the students. It seems to come up in the conversations all of the time. Like what happens when? Jay's brought it up. I know it's happened to him. There are ways that we navigate that, and I'll talk about that in just a little bit. Okay, so as we saw before, and I can go ahead and go back, we had a unit that looked like this, right? Water stains. I mean, this is the bathroom, just falling apart, right? I don't even know how long the person lived here or how long they had to put up with this, but they were clearly okay with it. Tape on the screen, whatever this is on the screen, you know, just kind of rotted out. This wasn't mold, but it was just lots and lots of old mildew, stains, cracking, etc. You know, and so we ended up with a unit that ends up looking like this. Right, so it went from that brown color to this gray color. Those water stains are all gone now. They've repainted the borders. And then here's a picture of us starting to move in all of our boxes. And so down here was where that underneath the sink, they painted everything. They painted the inside of everything. They actually restained the cabinets. The one behind here, there was a hole in it. They fixed the hole, patched it up, restained it. They really got the unit ready for us, which is how we ended up with a unit that looked like this. Right, so it's an amazing transformation, and all we have to do as owners is have those effective conversations that are going to give us the framework of a beautiful unit. By framework, I mean just really pretty walls, no things rotting out. It's never going to be perfect, right? It's an apartment. Still older appliances. We have an old refrigerator. We have an old oven that has a little bit of a bend in it, right? We've got old, Jay's saying he's going to be here at 10:30, so he may or may not make it. I don't know if we're going to go that long. I will try. The way that these go is we end up getting so many questions that it goes forever. So we probably will make it, but let's try and keep the questions coming. So anyway, the point being is that you're never going to have a perfect unit unless you end up in something that's brand new with brand new appliances and all of that. You're going to inherit what you inherit. Your job is to not worry about it, right? Because once we look at my bookings and what's been happening as far as people making reservations, you're going to see that it doesn't have an impact. So our goal is to have really pretty walls, really pretty floors, you know, or clean carpet, a nice border, really the bare bones, so that we can end up with units that look like this. And so this is our other bedroom. kind of the guest bed. And then this is that same bathroom. And like down here was where that rot was. It's gone. It's like it never existed. All of that rot, all of the discoloration, all of it is gone. It's just gone. So now this unit is stunning. This is where that broken floorboard was. It's nice and sealed up, patched, never looked like it. You can see the shininess where they patched the hole, right? So they did. And then LaTanya, of course, has all of her beautiful furnishings in there. When you use an interior designer, that's what you get. And this is that same first room. Up here's where those stains were. Stains were up here. It's like it never existed, right? And that's what allows us to turn around and rent this unit from $135 a night all the way up. And we've seen it as high as $278 a night. And when I see we see it, that's because we're using pricing software that's automating a lot of our pricing decisions for us. And I'll show you a couple more pictures. This is the living area. And please remember, this is it's 1,000 square feet. So we've got lots of room. And then back behind me is where that desk area was. So it really went from ugly duckling to just stunning apartment, right? So being able to have these conversations with your property owners saying, this is what we do, and if you're just getting started, you're able to use the images of the group to say, this is the type of quality that we're going to be bringing to your building now. And my property manager has gotten so enrolled in what we're doing. She's now very interested not only in becoming a student, but she wants to come hang out inside of our unit. We were building things out at 11:45 at night. She's finding reasons to come over. She walks around the unit now smiling, saying things like, oh, this is so nice. This is so nice. Like, really, it's amazing. We now have a property manager who's completely on our side. It's very unique. Okay, so I'm going to go back over to the chat. And I can also stop sharing my screen here. Yeah, so Vincent says, what a change, right? And so that's the difference. Right. And so this unit right here, it's a 2-bedroom. So we should be renting it out at a minimum for this area. I'm not saying this is going to be across all areas, all property types, all everything. We should be able to rent this out at a minimum of $135 a night, which is actually on the low side for a 2-bedroom. Right. So $135 a night all the way up to as high as what we've seen, $278 a night for a unit that's costing us $1,895 a month to rent. Right. And when you learn from Jay, when you learn from us, and when you start figuring out your numbers in my area, I don't want to go over $2,100 a month for a 1-bedroom, which is going to rent for less. So I'm at $1,895 for a 2-bedroom. Right. So if you start doing the math, we should be able to net, once this thing really gets into the swing of things, booking out for $85, for 85% of the month, we should be able to net anywhere from $1,200, maybe up to $1,750 a month with this one unit, one door, netting, pure profit, right? It should have an operational gross income of around $5,000 a month at 85%, right? So that's one unit. So then the question becomes, how big do I want this to become, right? All right, so what are your questions? Vince, I see your hand is up. I'm going to go ahead and bring you on here. Go ahead and start talking.
So what was the conversation like with the property management company? I mean, first of all, I see that unit before, and I would have just walked away.
Okay.
I wouldn't have seen any reason to try to continue that conversation, but apparently you used it and took it to a positive thing.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
Okay, got it. So the way that we did that is by knowing the customer that we want to serve. I don't want to beat that too much. Jay always says, no, who do you want to serve? That really is the core tenet. My wife is Chinese. Her family is first generation. She was born and raised here, and she grew up in a primarily Asian community. So she's very close with that community, and she knows that community well. She speaks Chinese, can communicate. Our property manager is Chinese, so her and Jill can have conversations in Chinese. There doesn't need to be me struggling through a conversation, right? So that's just who we as a couple, as a partnership, decided to serve, because that's 10 minutes away from us, right? We live in South Pasadena. So we said as a business that we're going to serve business travelers as well as Asian travelers coming from overseas to visit their family who are in this pocket, this Asian community, San Gabriel Valley, right? So that's what we decided to do because we saw that it was an underserved market, right? Underserved doesn't mean that nobody is working with them. It just means that there's more demand than there is supply. The business travelers, there's a demand there. They are also underserved, right? So in your area, there may be nobody who's doing what Jay teaches how to do, which is make these really beautiful units that creates an amazing experience that has that wow factor when they first see your images, and that adds all sorts of amazing amenities for them, right? So that's an underserved market, just like the Asian community is an underserved market. You may be you may have plenty of people in your area who have Airbnb units or units on HomeAway or whatever, but they're not doing it like we do it. And so when we come to an area, we actually have much more demand for our units where we can charge a higher dollar value. There's someone literally 1 minute from us in a different building renting for $90 a night. It's a 2-bedroom, right? 2-bedroom. And here we are, 175, 180, 273, and we're getting inquiries and we're getting our bookings, right? So it has nothing to do with anything other than the customer that you're serving. So we knew that we wanted to serve this market. We knew that this unit was very close to a downtown area that has a lot of nice restaurants. It's got a movie theater. There's a Starbucks. All of this is less than 10 minutes away. There's also the most popular Asian market in the area, less than 5 minutes away, right? So we've got an Asian market. Inside of our unit, not only do we put utensils, but we also put chopsticks. We have a rice cooker. We've got the things that basically say that we're looking at you, customer, and we're building it specifically for you. If you noticed in the images, that orange painting that's above our kind of cream colored sofa, there's a lot of gold in that orange as well. There's shiny gold, right? Which is a direct nod to the Asian community, which loves the color red and gold, right? So we're adding things in there very subtly that's going to appeal to a lot of people, but that's also targeting our exact demographic market. So Vince, let me ask you, like, what had you want to walk away from the unit?
Well, it seemed to be in disrepair. The bathroom was, unacceptable.
Terrifying.
And I would be suspect whether the property management company or the landlord would even take the time to repair that like they did.
Right. Got it. So
I'm just shocked that.
Go ahead.
No, I was shocked that you didn't have to pay any money to get the place up to par.
Yeah. We were, and here's the thing, we were prepared to, but we weren't prepared to pay a lot, right? So there's a certain expectation as a new tenant, whether you're living there or doing this as a corporation, that the unit is going to get ready for you, right? Are they going to make it a boutique hotel for you? No, of course not. But are they going to paint the walls and get, a moderate amount of this stuff taken care of? Yeah, I mean, if there's a hole in a cabinet, I would expect as a tenant that hole is not going to be there when I move in, right? Here's what property managers are and property management companies are, right? A lot of them are very lazy, and it's because they're allowed to be. If as a tenant, I look at all of this stuff, let's say that I did a walkthrough and I see all of these issues. If I don't raise my hand and say, I need this repaired before I move in, a lot of the property managers aren't going to repair it because they weren't asked to. But if you ask them to, if you say, yeah, I'm absolutely taking it, because look, it's so arduous being a good tenant. If you ran somebody's credit, they have a credit score of 750, they're ready to go right now. they want to rent to you because they don't want to do this anymore. They don't want to keep looking for a new tenant and looking for a new tenant and looking for a new tenant, right? So if you say, I need this, 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 and this, and this repaired, and then I'll take it, then chances are they're going to do it. So that was the conversation that we had. We also had the conversation with them that the next time a unit becomes available, that we want it. So now they don't have to do this a second time or a third time or a fourth time, all by just doing these little things right now to get this unit ready for us, right? So I can't stress enough, it's all in who you're being in those early stage conversations. If you're so excited to get a yes that you don't want to like upset them or disrupt the possibility or turn that yes into a no. So you don't go in there as a business owner, you go in overly grateful for them even willing to be working with you, and that everything showed up as a convincing type of a conversation. Well, this is going to be a totally different ballgame for you. Like those roles are clearly defined in the first conversation. It's clearly defined in who you're being. Are you the professional who's a demand for the quality of your units for your customer? Or are you just so grateful to have somebody working with you that you'll let them run the show? So yeah, it's got to be a balance, because they hold a lot of the cards. They could say no. But as long as you're wonderful with them, respectful with them, and the demand for your customer type, you'll get what you're looking for. Because now look at what we ended up with the unit. Do you think that now it's been proven to them they're going to want to give us more units when they know that that's exactly what's going to have, exactly what's going to be inside, right? All right. So anyways, okay. So you looked at it, you see that it's in a state of disrepair. You don't trust the property managers. Like, do you feel better now based on what I'm saying, or is there still more there for you?
No, I feel better. I think the key was, go in as a business owner. Either they're going to do the work or you're not going to rent the place.
Yeah. Yeah. And that really is, there's just things that you need, right? And it becomes a workability issue. It's not something's wrong or that they're bad and that you're good and that you know better and they don't know. All of that may be true, but you just have a conversation from the standpoint of workability. It's like, look, the way that this unit looks now, it's not workable. And you pull out your phone and you show them images of your other units, or you show them images of somebody else's units if you don't have any yet. And you say, this is what we do. Can you see that what we do here on showing them the images does not work for the way that your unit currently is? And all we need you to do, Mr. and Mrs. Property Manager, is get the walls and the floors and repair these things. So after having that conversation, what our property manager asked us to do was to go around the unit and take pictures of everything that needed repairs. It was 13 pictures, not that much, right? It ended up being 13 pictures. Like the walls were obvious. That's going to be done anyway. Like the odds and end repairs, that was going to be done anyways. But then it was like, make sure this stuff in the ceiling is taken care of. Make sure that the water stains are taken care of. This bathroom, you might as well tear it down. But as long as you go in there and strip this stuff out and clean it up and patch up the rot and paint it over so it looks like it never existed, then we're going to be okay. Did it stop us from being nervous that they were going to get it done? No, of course not. We were terrified. We're like, oh my God, cross your fingers, right? Like really cross your fingers that they're going to get it done. But then we walk into the unit and we saw those gray walls and it's like, oh my gosh, they're really doing this. And like the rot, that was the first thing I went to, like the rot on the wall where the drywall had just started kind of to start to erode. Not mold, not bad, just wear and tear, age. A tenant in there that never asked for that to be repaired, right? So I walked right in there. It was flat as a board, looked clean as the day it was built. Like it was done. Looked up in the corners where everything was rotting and cracking. That was done. Everything that we had taken a picture of and sent them as something that needed to be addressed, they addressed. And they gave us the framework that we needed. So much so that once our unit got built, I forgot what it even looked like. When I put those pictures together to put this folder together for this presentation and to post it in Facebook, I had actually forgotten how bad it was because I was just so used to standing in this really lovely apartment. It was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how far it came. Look, and it got done in less than 3 weeks. From the day that they said yes, we knew that we were taking it over in 3 weeks. It was done in 3 weeks and 4 days because when we got the keys on the 20th, LaTanya was in there just a few days later getting started building it all out, right? So from conversation to keys to ready to rent was less than a month, 3 weeks and a couple of days probably. And it just goes that fast. It's really ridiculous when you've got your checklists and you know exactly what you're doing, you know what you're buying, you're working with a LaTanya, or even if you're building it out yourself, your schedule should be so on point that it's done, right? Just done. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start looking at some questions. Vince, do you have anything else to add?
No, I'm good for right now.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. Shatana Bacon. Shatana, you almost came to the summit last time. We're having another one. I hope you're planning on coming. I'm turning in an application today for a 3-bedroom house on my block. Okay, 3-bedroom. The owner is saying he will be adding a bathroom, so the house will be under construction for 60 days. Should we move forward if we are selected? Did you rent in your name or a company name? Okay. So I don't know if you should move forward or not. I mean, it's a 3-bedroom. So your costs, if you're following what we teach, what CashFlowDiary teaches, it's going to be about 3 times more expensive than if you went with a 1-bedroom. I mean, who's the customer that you're serving? Like, that's not a 3-bedroom house, single family residence is not a business traveler who's coming to a convention. They would never rent a 3-bedroom house, right? Ever. It's not a small family of like 6 or less who may want an extra bedroom and a little extra square footage and a kitchen, right? They're not going to rent a 3-bedroom house. Also, you need to look at things like your operating expenses. What's that rent going to cost you? You don't need to, I'm not going to get that deep with it, right? So don't put it in the chat. But these are just all hypothetical things you need to look at. Like what's your operating expense? And that doesn't mean how much is your rent. It means how much is it going to cost you to clean a 3-bedroom house? How much is it going to cost you to stock a 3-bedroom house? You now have 3 times the bedding, 3 times the pots and pans and plates and all of that stuff. You have your utilities are going to go up. Your expenses, if you go with the Vivint, like smart lock system, are going to go up. Things like that are going to add to your operational expense, and you need to get it down to a daily rate, right? So you're going to take your rent and then you're going to add everything else, your full monthly expense, including like estimated some stuff. Just don't worry about your cleaning fees. And then you divide that by 30 so that you know exactly how much it's going to cost you on a daily basis to run your business from that place. And then you got to look at what you're going to be able to rent it for. And you must assume that it's only going to be rented 80 to 85% of the month, right? So it's like, okay, well, if I'm rented 85% of the month, my daily rate on a 3-bedroom is like $100 a day, and you just do all that math and it doesn't work out, then no, I wouldn't do it. Or if you're cutting it too close, I wouldn't do it, right? And that's very basic, right? I just want to get through it fast. We're not going to get into the math of it all. The point is that a 3-bedroom house has a totally different traveler type than a studio apartment or a 1-bedroom apartment, right? And when you're trying to fill 3 bedrooms, you're probably looking at comfortably housing anywhere from 8 to maybe even 12, 16 people. Well, when I travel by myself, how far in advance do I book? Usually maybe a week, right? At the most, because I don't have anything to coordinate. I don't have anyone to talk to. I don't have to get my friends to pay me back. If I'm booking it myself and putting it on my credit card, now they got to pay me and I've got to coordinate all that. And we got to get travel arrangements and everyone's got to say, yes, these dates work for me. And let's get there Monday, not Tuesday birthday and blah, 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 right? All of that goes into groups. So how far in advance is a large group going to book? Probably several weeks, if not a month, couple months, right? So you have a 3-bedroom. Well, how soon do you want reservations? Do you want reservations the moment that you go live because you just put a bunch of money into it and now you need that money back? You're not in a comfortable position. Well, I wouldn't do that with a 3-bedroom. I wouldn't do this house then, right? But if it works for you, if you're okay with your first reservation being a month from now or whatever it works out to be, not to say you won't get reservations right away, but it's less likely, right? So if you're okay with all that additional expense and you're okay with waiting for your reservations, then you're fine. Because if it works for your customer type and you're doing a vacation rental and the money's amazing or whatever, then you can go ahead and feel comfortable pulling the trigger. But these are all things that you got to work out. Who are you trying to attract? So what the question really is are you pulling the trigger because they said yes? Or are you pulling the trigger because you really want this house for the customer that you're serving? Like really look at who you're being.
It was more the convenience of it being so close to where I live. And the house isn't really, it's like the rooms are smaller. So it wasn't like it's not a huge house. It is 3 bedrooms, but it's smaller rooms. So I was just thinking, this would be really nice to be able to be in walking distance from the unit that I would be renting. But I still obviously had some questions about if I should go forward or not. And then when he said it's going to be under construction for 60 days after he selects someone, I was kind of a little more concerned because that's I wouldn't want to rent it while it's under construction. So yeah, there was just concerns.
Yeah, and rightfully so, right? Like there should be concerns there because you don't know what's going to happen with that construction.
Right.
You don't know if there's going to be snags. You don't know if that 60 days is going to turn into 90 or 120. Because you don't know who he's selecting, right, to do his construction. Are they someone who is amazing and will get it done fast? So I mean, you reasonable. I'm not going to tell you to do it. What I'm going to tell you to do is your homework. And what I recommend is that if you are going to go on the lease, if you are going to say, yes, I'm going to rent it, well, it's going to be with some caveats, right? Absolutely, I will rent your property. It works for my tenant. It's a small 3-bedroom. It's going to house, 6 to 8 people, even with 3 bedrooms. It's going to work for my business type. It's convenient. It's a great area. People are going to want to stay here, right? All of that, you say all that to yourself and it's all, valid and true and you like it. And yeah, you're crossing your fingers, but in your lease agreement, it's got to be subject to something, right?
Okay. I was also looking on Airbnb. I saw one of the questions come up and it was saying that you could earn about $6,000 per month on a house. Say it one more time.
What's the rent? How much would you be renting?
$2,400 a month.
Yeah. So, I mean, right away. And do you know the walk score off the top of your head?
No, I don't.
Okay. Yeah, it's fine. Just go to like walkscore.com and just run the address and it'll tell you like how walkable it is. Look, if it's over 75, your rent is good. If it's in a safe area, you got to drive around the area. You got to see what people are going to see as your customer.
Okay.
Right? Are they going to be upset? Like, is it sort of a lower income area where the experience, because people travel from all over the place and they're just going to trust you that you're giving them a great experience. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with lower income, but put yourself in the mindset of your customer. Are they going to be disappointed? Are they going to feel, people get triggered, right? And it's like, are they going to feel unsafe? Right. And if none of that exists there, then forget them even bringing it up. But if your spidey sense, right, if your spidey sense is going off, chances are theirs will too. Like, trust yourself on it. If you're like, it really be able to figure out if it's you being worried because this is your first time and it's new, or if that spidey sense is valid. And over time, you'll get to know it much, much better. Like Jay flat out says, like, look, don't, in the beginning, forget it. Like later on down the road, you're going to know exactly, like, you're going to have spidey sense about your guests. You're going to have it about the areas that you're looking at, things like that, right? So single family residence, there's just more to work out, right? But you are leasing it. It's not a property that you own. It's smaller, so more people can fit in there or whatever. And you just have to determine for yourself whether that's good or bad, right? And I'm sure Jay can speak to this better than I can. I'm sure he's looked at these houses and said no to them for whatever reason. And there's a reason why he's sticking with only apartments.
Yeah, that's what I wanted initially, but because I was trying to rent with my business name rather than my personal name, it seems like I have come up against a bit of a challenge.
Look, it's going to be more challenging to do it as a business, but you do it as a business.
Right.
You know, I mean, there's just no way around it. You're not putting this in your name, right?
Mhm.
Because it all fits not only legally and for tax purposes, you're doing this as a business, right? It's all coming through your S Corp or your LLC or whatever your lawyer has determined is the best for you, right? Really, at the end of the day, like, it's got to be that way because you're coming in and you're presenting it as a business.
So what I was hoping is, I don't know if I'm saying the wrong thing when I'm talking to them, because I've gone and looked at apartments and you know, the larger REITs are the ones who saying, you know, you have to put it in your own name or whatever. And even some of the smaller apartment complexes were mentioning that. And so I wasn't sure if I needed a new script or what. I don't know. Maybe I'm saying the wrong things. I'm not sure.
Maybe. Yeah. And it may be just who you're being in that conversation, right?
Okay.
Like you may not be projecting a whole lot of confidence in your business, right? And
Well, yeah, maybe.
or if you're faking it right now, maybe they're picking up on it. So look, these are just muscles that you flex over time. You know, you work that muscle out and you just get better and better about it. Were you on the last Q&A when we did it live from my unit?
I watched it after.
Okay, so did you hear a lot of the conversations? We kind of mocked what it sounds like, or I got into like how I do this now. Would that be helpful? Do you want to go through it?
Yeah, I will, because I watched the beginning part.
Well, I mean, do you want to go through it now? I'm happy to go through it now.
Oh yeah, that would be great because I need help.
Got it. All right, so here's what you don't do. Okay, and this is the best piece of gold I ever got, right? And it was when I do a lot of coaching, right? And I do a lot of training and development, and I help people get unstuck, get things out of the way, right? And really, like, it's like you're driving down the street and something gets in your way, right? Well, what are you going to do? Well, you're going to stop and you're going to get out of your car and you're going to pull it off the street and then you're going to keep driving, right? And that's just like life. We're driving down the street and then suddenly there's a tree on our road and we got to get out and we got to pull it off the road so that we can keep driving. So we all have our little trees. We all got stuff in our way, right? And so when we're going out and we're presenting this for the very, very first time or the second time or the third time, if you haven't done this like 75, 100 times, it's still going to feel like the first time, right? There's always going to be that worry. There's always going to be that tree in the road, right? So if you put yourself and your current level of experience on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most proficient, you're going to get a yes every single time it fits that person, all the way down to a 1, where would you say that you are? And just be totally insightfully straight. You're not going to impress anyone. Just say what you think you are right now.
At a 0.
I'm going to disagree. I think you're
what?
probably being a little hard on yourself. Yeah. Let's just say that you're a 1. Okay. Let's say that right now you're a 1 on a scale of 10 at being proficient at explaining this. Here's what people do. Okay. They know they're a 1 and they go in and they pretend that they're a 10. Worst thing you can ever do, because it's transparent. You can't pretend to be a 10 when you're a 1 because you're just not a 10 yet. When you're a
Right.
10, you're a 10. When you're a 1, you're a 1. So what do? You just be okay with it and just go in and be the best one you can be. Embrace your oneness. Okay? Like just be okay with that. Be the best one that you can be until you're a 2 and until you're a 3. Right? Like there's nothing wrong with being where you're at. Like, do you get how magic it is that you're even giving this thing a shot?
Well, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, right? So take that excitement with you. Like, look, you're out there committed to a new future, and you're out there in action, having a conversation, getting a yes on a 3-bedroom, right? And it's all inside of your commitment to your life, to your family, to your future, right? And you're taking these steps. So be the best one you can be and just embrace where it is that you're at. And don't be afraid to go out there and just to fall on your face and just get up and just laugh it off and be like, that's what a 1 does. Right? That's what a 1 does. Right? That's what it looks like to be a 1. But you're being the best one that you can be. Like, don't fake it till you make it, like work some places, but like, look, all you got to do is have an honest assessment with yourself and like, look, I'm just this good right now. This is how good I am at explaining this. I'm going to get better. I'm going to get a question that I don't know how to handle. It's when you start beating yourself up and, well, why did I screw that up and blah, blah, blah. Like none of that's real. Like, don't create this world around you that like you're a failure. Not that you are, but for anyone watching this, like that you're a failure and you're not good at this. And no, you're not. You just failed. There's no such thing as being a failure. You're not a failure. You just failed in that moment, and all that's left is to get more efficient at the conversation. So every time it doesn't work out, that's just an opportunity for you to be more efficient at the conversation until you've done this 10, 15, 20, 30 more times. And you can really navigate all of this. All right, so with that said, this is what my wife and I do, okay? And it really is this simple. We look on apartments.com or we see a for rent sign, we drive around, we get our lead however we get our lead, okay? And we call them up and we follow Jay's script, which is, hello, my company and I are looking for a couple units in the area, or you can modify that however you want. You know, we're looking for a unit in the area. It looks like your unit's in an area that we would be interested in. You know, are you the right person to talk to about this? They say yes. You get a couple, and there are questions you very easily could be asking, you know, like things that actually matter, that are the deal breakers to save your time, right? Like just whatever that is for your customer type. You know, what's the parking situation look like? Let's say that you know that street parking has permits only and it's going to cost you money, and for whatever reason that doesn't work for you. Like you don't want to put a parking permit in your unit and I don't know, whatever it works out to be. So let's say that you navigate that and you book your appointment. Well, now you go down and you get the tour of the property and you've got your property evaluation worksheet with you, right? You're a mastermind student, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you've got your property evaluation worksheet and you're walking around and you're looking at all the things that normal tenants don't look at. You're looking at the locks, you know, you're looking to see if there's steps and if they're clearly marked and all this stuff that you're going to need to worry about as an operator. And you're asking questions that that normal tenants don't normally ask. Well, they're going to answer them and they're going to be great about it. They may even ask why you're asking, which at that point's a natural transition. But what we do, because no one's ever really asked us any additional questions like, why are you asking that? We say, this is great. We love it. We absolutely want to rent it, but here's what we want to do. We need to put the lease in my company's name. And we let that start the conversation around what it is that we do as a business owner. Okay. And then we just get into it. And sometimes we mess it up and sometimes we don't. Sometimes I talk too long. Sometimes, you know, Jill says the wrong thing, or I'm like, shut up, shut up, be quiet. Like, you know, like just stop throwing up on them. Like we're getting trained and developed in this too, but we allow it to say that, look, we work with Asian travelers coming in from overseas, either for business or to visit their families in the San Gabriel area. And what we do is we provide extended stay opportunities for them to come and live in an apartment while they're here visiting. Look, because look, here's what I know about the Asian travelers in my area, and this is a very real thing. Anything over 2 or 3 days and they're bummed out in a hotel because they don't want to eat out every day, especially if they're coming with family. Look, we were stalking our tenants on our Ring camera, right, when they checked in, because they were our very first ones, and we were freaking out that it was actually happening and it was working. And I watched them for half an hour load box after box of food into our apartment. At one point, one guy came walking up carrying this gigantic watermelon. And I don't know why, but that thrilled me to death, that they had brought a watermelon into our house. They had thought so far in advance that they brought a watermelon in. I've got it on my Ring video. I've saved it. I have it forever now. I get to see them load this stuff in, right? So I know that my customer type wants a place to stay. They want to cook for themselves. They've got a rice cooker. They've got chopsticks. They got all the things, you know, that they're going to need. They've got a beautiful block of knives that are like sharp as razors. I know that when they cook in my house, they're covered, right? Mm-hmm. All of this is stuff that I can be relaying to my property manager, right? All of this is things that I can be saying. My traveler wants a place to stay. My traveler wants a kitchen that's well stocked, that's taken care of. Then I show them the units that they're doing. Now, I can present it. I'm not going to say that I'm a 10. I'm going to say that me talking about this right now, I'm probably a 6, 5 or 6, right? I'm still messing it up. I don't navigate it perfectly. But the point is that, you know, I can relay all of this information in a way that, in my opinion, came out perfectly. And I still have a 50-50 chance of them saying yes to me. Not everybody's going to be a yes. Some of these property owners and property managers are old school. They're still doing everything on paper. They don't have online payment. Getting them to look at something new inside the sharing economy is going to be impossible. So you're still not going to get a yes every time, even if you do it perfectly. Mm-hmm. Right? It's just how that goes. So anyways, to go back to your unit, your 3-bedroom, that's what I would be saying with this person. And look, I can't tell you whether or not to pull the trigger on this unit. Me personally, I wouldn't do it. It's a house, it's 3 bedrooms, it's more. Even if it's small, it doesn't matter. That's still triple the expense.
Yeah.
Every bedroom is tripling your expense. Like a one bedroom apartment around me is going to be somewhere between 650 square feet all the way up to maybe 800 square feet, right? Then a 2-bedroom will probably be, well, my 2-bedroom is 1,000 square feet, right? So you may only be adding 300 more square feet of livable space by adding a bedroom to your unit or what it is that you've decided to rent. Mm-hmm. But you got to that's 3 more walls.
Yeah.
Right? So that's another bed. That's another TV. That's more bedding. That's more plates, more everything.
Right.
Right? So it doesn't matter that it's small. Right? At all. You're now, instead of a 2-bedroom, it's now a 3-bedroom. So 1 TV goes to 3 TVs if you're following what we're doing.
Right. Okay.
You know? You got to get that you're taking on a lot. And if your customer is demanding, if you want at that high rent, you want to make a lot of money or the numbers only work, if you make it a really beautiful Nordstrom style unit, $2,400, now it's like $160 a night, $170 a night, 3-bedroom, right? Because you can't just pick whatever price you want. The market may not respond to that.
Right.
You know, if you say, oh, I need $200 a night for this thing to work, but you put it up for $200 a night, you're not getting your rent. What's your option? Well, you got to lower your prices. Well, now what? You know?
Break even, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
You're not doing this to break even.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Okay. So look, all of that is to say you got to figure it out for yourself. The numbers may work. It may be wonderful. $2,400, 3-bedroom is where is that? What?
In Los Angeles.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, it's not that bad. Right? Numbers are pretty good, actually. It could reasonably be amazing. reasonably. You just got to figure out if that's what you want to do for your first one.
Yeah, it is kind of intimidating as a first unit.
You kind of broke up. You ended at intimidating.
I said it is kind of intimidating as a first unit. I did have in mind a 1-bedroom apartment.
Look, I tell you what, it's going to be intimidating no matter what you do. Like
Yeah.
your first one is going to be the one where you're like, oh my goodness, what have I just done?
Yeah.
Like, I did. I called Jay. He had to talk me down off a cliff. I was like, because I'm watching the money go out of my bank, right? I'm just watching it leave, watching it leave, watching it leave, watching it leave, and I'm like, is this how much you spent, Jay? Because I mean, here I am, I'm a student. I've been talking about this for well over a year and a half. And even still, it didn't feel real to me. I was like, this can't be right. I can't be spending this much money. You have to have figured out some way to get the cost down. Share with me your magic. He goes, nope, it's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're gonna have those moments, So you gotta really like take that $25 a square foot, that number, and because it's a 3-bedroom, you may go over that, especially if you're buying things in bulk because you're thinking about your next unit. Like what my wife did is that we get all of our cookware from Pampered Chef because Jay's wife does Pampered Chef. She's a rep of Pampered Chef. And so we decided to work with her and get our pots and pans. And so my wife is buying our stuff and she goes, oh, it's cheaper if we buy 2 sets, right? So meaning that we get a discount on 2 sets versus just buying 1. So, but we are still spending more money than if we just bought 1 set. So we actually bought things kind of in bulk in order to save money for later. And you may see that it's worth it for you to do that too, but you're still spending more money.
Yep.
Right? So it's like, yeah, these are all things to take on. Like it's going to stretch you as a business owner. It's going to stretch you financially. And yeah, it's going to, fear of God is going to be breathed into you at times, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
But look, we got you as an organization, Cashflow Diary. Like we're here to support you and walk you through it. And what I do recommend on the 3-bedroom is do post that in the group. If you haven't already, do reach out to Jay, and he'll say a lot of the same stuff I'm saying, which is the customer you're serving and all of that. But you got to look around and make sure that all those boxes are checked off, All right.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. No problem. Okay. So, Simone, 2 questions. Are you using Wheelhouse or Price Labs? I saw something in your corner mounted on the wall. Is that the security system? Yeah, in the corner mounted on the wall, I'm assuming that you mean the motion detector in the living room above the sofas. That is the motion detector. So I can log into my Vivint. You guys want to see Vivint real fast? I can show you what that looks like. Just say, just raise your hands if you want to see Vivint rather than having me look down. But yeah, that's the Vivint system. Vince is raising his hand. Good enough for me, Mildred. All right, thank you. That's good, guys. You can lower your hands. So, and I'll do that in just 1 second. So are we using Wheelhouse? Yes. Are we using Price Labs? Yes. We use both. We started with Wheelhouse to get our baseline, and then to get more granular with our pricing, we have Price Labs attached to our stuff. So we're using both for sure. And then let me go ahead and bring up my screen real fast. And it's going kind of slow, so just give me a second. Let me know when you can see. Do you guys see my screen?
Not yet.
You see that?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. So an hour ago, you can see we got another reservation, which is great. And let me go ahead and open this up. And this is the inquiry. So here's an inquiry. Jill has been communicating. So I'm not going to get into that, but essentially, you can see what's going on here. So we've got not possible, accepted, accepted, accepted. accepted, declined. We pre-approved. Well, we didn't pre-approve. We asked for her to update her profile and she declined. Accepted was this morning. So there's that. And then let me go ahead and bring up our Vivint. All right, so in the Vivint, you can see here, the door is locked. It's a disarmed system. And down at the bottom, we have activity and we have security. I can click on activity. And here you can see the motion detector detected movement, right? So it's just giving me an update on what the heck is going on. You know, so sliding door was open and closed 4 times. Okay. Sorry, I got an error that popped up on my screen. Can you guys still see everything? Anyone?
Yes.
Okay, great. And so look, I mean, it's not that exciting, but I can see the sliding door was opened at 7:35 in the morning. Motion detector detected movement. So I know that they're there and they're in my unit. So when is this going to come in handy? Well, it's going to come in handy at check-in and check-out, right? Like, I don't care that they're moving around now. What I care about is if, you know, they're moving around at 2 o'clock in the morning and they're supposed to have been gone at, you know, 11 o'clock the day before, right? It's like, who the heck's in my unit? I care that if they're moving around at 3 o'clock in the morning and my noise aware that's monitoring the noise is, you know, blowing up. These are the things I use them in conjunction. And then also, you know, my Ring camera, I'm able to, you know, check in and see what type of movement's going on, right? So I can see all this stuff. I'm not going to bring it up for their privacy, but so some of this will be them, but also keep in mind, I'm in an apartment complex, so some of this will be people just kind of walking by my unit, right? But this was how I was able to check and see what they were up to. So that's that. And then let me bring up the Vivint again. And so inside of the Vivint, I can go ahead and I can look at my users and I can see the people that have been, you know, who have had accounts created directly through Airbnb. This is not a perfect system yet, so we're not using this, but it's still nice to see it. But we actually create users up here. So we manually are setting up our users and assigning them a code. And then as we add more units, a virtual assistant will do that piece for us until Vivint and Airbnb play nicely together, right? But right now we work with what we got. So if I wanted to, I could tap that button on the bottom and it would unlock the door. But chances are they're already gone for the day, right? If I brought up my Ring camera, I'd see them leave the way that I've seen them leave yesterday and the day before. So that's really how that all works. And let me go ahead and stop sharing. Okay, so I'm gonna move down to the next question. Simone asked, how much did it cost to furnish the unit? Well, it's not just a furnishing question. It's a complete setup question. Okay, so when I look at how much it cost us to get this whole unit going, first month's security deposit, furniture, electronics, kitchen, stock, extra stock, bedding, linens, extra linens, everything that's going into the unit, it pretty much lined up exactly with $25 a square foot. And it's a 1,000 square foot apartment. So let's just say $25,000 to get this unit going. Simone, but I really, really need you, and I'm going to actually use the superlative, need you to remove the word cost from your vocabulary. Okay, it's not a cost. You got to get that you're building out an investment. Right. And this is a thing that immediately in month 1, week 1, put $3,300 worth of reservations into the Airbnb system. Right. And that's leaving 12 days on the calendar unbooked. So yeah, there's definitely an expense. There's an investment that's going in to this. But you got to get, like, I now own that furniture. Right. And I'm able to write that off. 100% of every dollar I spent on this unit is now a business write-off, right? I write that off. I get to depreciate my furniture. Let's say that this unit, for whatever reason, never worked out, and clearly it's not going that way, but let's say that it didn't work out, or let's say that down the road I just decided to shut it down. I've got all this stuff that I now own that I can sell. I get to sell my TVs, I get to sell my furniture, I get to turn around. Not at 100%, obviously, maybe at 25% of what I bought it for. But you got to get, these are all assets that my company now owns, right? So really when people ask, and Simone, I'm not saying you're doing this, so please, I'm not trying to say I believe exactly where your head's at when you ask this question. I know that I don't. But people start looking at this from, well, how much is this going to cost me? And it's just it's a 180 from where you need to be as a business owner, right? It's really how much income does this thing generate from an ROI perspective? What is my return on my investment? I put $25,000 into a unit that should effectively be netting me $1,500 a month over 12 months. So quick math, what is that, $18,000? If I'll hit that number every single time, $18,000 in a year on a $25,000 investment. What's the ROI on that? Somebody who's good at calculating that real fast. If you divide 18,000 by 25. So that's your return on investment on a $25,000 investment on one unit. Those numbers are staggering. Like, I don't know any other business, especially in the world of real estate, that gives you that kind of a return for such a low amount. Like, I would have to go to the Midwest to even put $25,000 to use. And then and only then, I would probably be able to rent out that house or whatever. It would have to be a house. $25,000 would be a down payment on a $60,000, $70,000 unit. Like, these are Indianapolis prices, right? Where I owned my properties before. And then I maybe be able to rent it out for $900 a month. And now 25,000 gets me a whole unit, nothing left to do except pay my rent, just like much less than a mortgage ever would cost, especially here in California. And it's generating profit of $1,000 to $1,500, maybe $2,000 in the high season a month. So remove the word cost. And look, I know that you get this business. And I'm sure you weren't like, I'm sure you just meant it very benign. Like, well, what'd that cost you? What'd that run? But really, like, look at it from what's possible. And what was the investment? Just shifting that, removing the word, what's it costing me from your mind, it really works magic. It really does work magic. Okay, so Joe Rodriguez is asking, did you use a data software to research your look? No, we don't use AirDNA. AirDNA has proved to not be a good fit for the California market. You got to get that. They're using the data that they've got. They just don't have access to all the data that would make a difference. And I've never used Everbooked for the same reason. Look, I know my area. And what I did was I went and I found units very close to the area that I know that anyone coming to this vicinity are going to want to be close to, right? Like the restaurants, like it's very walkable. If they want to go grocery shopping, they can walk there in 5 minutes. They can get 2 big markets in less than 5 minutes walking, right? There's a Starbucks, a nice row of restaurants that are like upscale all the way down to like, Burger King on the corner. We've got an Applebee's right there. Like, so we've got the fast food, we've got the markets, we've got the nice restaurants. We actually have some like places that people can go dancing, all in a pocket that serves an Asian community as well as a Hispanic community, as well as anyone else that wants to come to the area. But I know that I'm giving myself my best shot at hitting my target customer, right? And then I go and I look at the walk score, and then I look at my unit and I see how pretty it now is, and I know that I've got a winner on my hands, right? All they need is to have a need for 2 bedrooms. And right now we have 6 people in our unit, 5 adults, 1 child, right? Our reservations so far have primarily been 5 to 6 people. I have a 2 bedroom. I can't expect anything different. Right? Of course they want that. No one's coming as 2 people, and saying, I want to spend more for a 2 bedroom. It's going to be a rare case scenario. Any other criteria other than your who and your why? Yeah, the walk score is important. The numbers have to work. I knew that I can rent my unit for somewhere around $200 a night. The average will probably be in time for the year about $175 a night. I knew that if I was even booked, my daily operating expense on my unit $1,900 rent plus everything else works out to about $80 a day. So the absolute worst case scenario is I'm breaking even at $80 a day. Now, would I want to rent it at $80 a day? No. Well, why? Well, first of all, I don't want to break even. Second of all, a 2-bedroom renting at $80 a day is not the ideal customer that I want staying there. I don't necessarily trust that they're going to take the best care of my unit. So I'm effectively going to double that 100, and that's not a formula, but I personally am effectively doubling my daily operating expense, right? $80 a day, roughly, $175 a night, $160 a night, whatever. As long as I'm in that range, I'm profiting. So even if I need to reduce my rate down to $150, $140, $135 a night to get the booking, I'm still profiting, right? So the numbers just work. So hopefully that answers your question. Joe, let me know if you want to be unmuted, and then, oh, actually, I think you can unmute yourself. You can bring yourself on camera. Do you want to come on camera? I'm gonna unmute you real fast. Joe? Oh, no, you're not unmuted. All right, moving on. All right, Simone, why did you go with Vivint versus August Lock? Because it comes with a security system, and it's more stable, and the batteries last longer in a Vivint, and it is not necessary for them to download an app. All of that makes Vivint a smarter choice. So here's the thing. I have a lot of Asian travelers, and I will continue to have a lot of Asian travelers, and people don't read. Not Asian people, just people before the reservation, right? So when they book their place, what goes out is a whole list of things that's going to help them get checked into our place, right? You're going to drive here. You're going to show up here. You've got to go to an intercom. You've got to type this. It's going to buzz you in, blah, blah, blah. Well, they're not going to read it. A part of that is going to be instructions for the August Lock on that they now need to download an application, get signed in with the account that's been created for them, and they're going to need that app to punch that button in order to get into the unit, right? Or there's going to be a keypad with their key code that they're going to have to punch to get into the unit. Well, if they didn't follow any of those steps, if they didn't get that application put on their phone, well, they're going to be standing in front of my unit without any access to Wi-Fi, unable to download anything. They're from Asia. They don't have international roaming. They don't have the ability to get their stuff until they have Wi-Fi, right? So now it creates a customer service situation. And we just saw it again and again, that now customer service has to sort through getting them into the unit, right? So Vivint has its share of little issues, right? But one of them is that they don't need an app. It's actually a keypad that's built in to the door lock, not a keypad off to the side like the August Lock. The keypad is right there on the lock. And what we decided to do is the bottom lock, the little standard knob that normally has a lock on it, we took that off and we put a closet doorknob there, right? Indoor, outdoor, but they call it a closet lock because it has no key. So now my guest can never accidentally lock the bottom lock because they think they're just protecting the unit when they leave, and then quickly realize they don't actually have a key. We don't give them any kind of keys to our unit. So now the only option they have is the Vivint lock. And so when they get there, they type in their code. That's all they got to do. It unlocks, they walk in, it's already assigned. It's right there in their email. And worst case scenario, if they do need to get a hold of us or they call us on the intercom system or whatever, it's one email back to them with their code. And that code is already set up and tested. So that's why. Battery life is a huge deal. You'd be changing your August Lock like once a month. And the battery life on this is phenomenal. It's forever. And here's another thing. When my internet goes down, should my internet go down, my Vivint is still going to work because it has a small cell signal built into my plan that I don't even see. I'm not paying additional for it. So there's a cell signal connected to my August keypad. My August keypad is communicating directly with my lock. All of this is to say it provides a better experience. right? So that's why we now are going with Vivint and why we recommend Vivint. Not because we've got a deal with Vivint or anything like that. We don't have a deal with Vivint. We're not profiting off of it. It's just what works. Because CashFlowDiary, okay, I wish I didn't even need to say that, but I do need to say it from time to time. CashFlowDiary is concerned with one thing: what works. Okay, we're only going to share what works. So August worked. Vivint, we've discovered Vivint. It works better. Now we recommend Vivint. Okay, that's the way that all of that happens. We only care about our own experience as operators and the experience that we're delivering to our customers. So when we make a recommendation, it's always based on that one factor: what works. So Vivint just worked out better. So that answers that. Where can I find the video from the unit? Vince, can you take are you still here? I don't know if you're still here.
Yes.
Okay, what do you mean? What video?
Oh, I thought you said you did a video live from the unit and it was posted.
Oh, yeah.
someplace.
That would be in both groups, in the mastery group as well as in oh no, it's not. Did you register for that?
I don't think so. I don't remember.
Okay. Then if you didn't register, then you didn't get a follow-up. It's on YouTube and we have the replay. It's been recorded. So it's on our CashFlowDiary channel. If you go to youtube.com/CashFlowDiary, you should see the Q&A session there. In order to not have me pause and go looking around since Jay's not here to support, I'm not going to go look for it. So you're going to need to go to youtube.com/CashFlowDiary and it will be there. Look, we committed to being live for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, much like today. We started at 8:30 and we're going to wrap up today at 10:30 because I've got a birthday thing that we're going to. So I can't run too long. That conversation went 3.5 hours. So
Okay.
if for any of you that were not on last week's Q&A session, walking you through this business, go watch that. It's 3.5 hours long. Like, you've all sat through Lord of the Rings. You can make it through this. Like, watch it. It's worth it. We go through my unit. Jay is on that call. He's taking questions. He's obviously answering it as somebody who's running 30 units, right? Jay's 30 units take him 90 minutes a day to run. Okay, that's the system that he's teaching. So for those of you that don't have the masterminds, I really recommend that you become mastermind students if this is a business that you want to build, because the mastermind takes somebody from zero experience all the way through being able to run a 30-unit operation. We have a student that has 75 units, grossing her about a little over $3 million a year in revenue, and it's all built on the mastermind. So it will support somebody all the way up to as many units as they want to get to. So for somebody like myself, my wife and I, we're going to get to 20, and then we're going to look and see if we want to go bigger. But we know lots of people want to get to 50 already. They want to get to 100. The mastermind business system will support you in that. So if you're not our mastermind customer, get it, because it's a course, but it's set up like a coaching program. We're in there all day long, every day in the student Facebook group, as well as Jay going live every single Tuesday at 4 p.m., as well as a 6-hour live training with Jay that you get as a mastermind student, not to mention the course and all the insane bonuses that we give you with it. So if you don't have the mastermind, or you're sort of in that conversation of consideration, please understand that we are the only person training at this level. There's too many people selling sort of fluffy front-end courses. I know there's a lot of them out there for like $1,000 or whatever. They never get somebody to where they're trying to go. It's unfortunate. The information is good. I know the instructors have integrity in what they're doing, but they never intended to continue to support it. This is the only place where you've got somebody running 30 units who's turning around, documenting what he does, and then teaches you the exact system that he's using to do it. So if you're not our student, I got it. There's a lot of crap out there. You don't trust real estate companies. I get it. Please consider it, because this really is what we say that it is. 100% support 24/7. You'll have it with us. All right. I didn't schedule a commercial moment. If I had one, that was it. All right. So Jenin, why did you say there's a reason Jay is doing apartments rather than even 1 or 2 bedroom townhouses or condos? I don't know why he's chosen apartments over townhouses or condos. condos are easy, right? Condos come with a board and an HOA, and they are just a headache and sometimes a nightmare to work with, right? So what we see happen too often with condos is that someone already owns the condo, decides they want to run a quote unquote Airbnb business, or they want to now start putting it on Airbnb. They don't get permission from the HOA, and then they either get fined or shut down, and they lose that income. It goes well for 3 or 5 months, 6 months, whatever, until one guest comes, gets noticed, and then the HOA suddenly has a problem. And if they haven't had bylaws written, they now suddenly do, which they're legally allowed to do. They can update their bylaws if they want to, now effectively shutting you down. So if you're not going in as a business owner, having this conversation, full transparency early, you're already doing this under the board, under the radar kind of approach, which you just don't do. Apartment buildings, they're just easy to have these conversations with. Look, I'm in the conversations right now with a property manager that has townhouses, like a duplex side by side, 2 doors next door to each other. It's a townhouse. I would take that all day, every day, because I'm still working with them the same as an apartment, right? But it's because they already know what we do. And now they've been updated with our listing now that we've got our first listing live. They love us. They're looking for the right opportunity to work with us. I actually called this property manager 2 days ago, and she goes, "Oh, I'm so glad you reached out. I was just talking to so-and-so about this thing. It's such a great offer." She looks at what we're doing as an offer, right? So that's the conversations that we're having. So yeah, condos, I would just stay away from condos. I mean, unless that HOA, because I don't know condos that don't have an HOA, but unless that HOA is like, yeah, absolutely, we're on board. Or maybe you have a few people in there that like are like, hey, yeah, we're ready to move out. Why don't you run that business here? Unless you have like this perfectly amenable situation, the condos are typically a bad bet. Townhouses, sure, why not? But yeah, Jay has stayed away from houses, single family residences, mostly for their size and the customer that he's serving, right? When he's traveling, when he's attracting business travelers, he's putting things like, dry cleaning machines or steamers and whiteboards. If you saw in the images, we have a glass whiteboard in ours. We've got a steamer in ours. We didn't go with a dry cleaning machine, but we put the super high-speed Wi-Fi in there with screenshots of our Wi-Fi. And we're trying to attract the people that value that thing, which is typically going to be more on the high-end business side. And it's just easier to do. And it's easier to roll out units when you have the expense of a 1-bedroom as opposed to a 2 or a 3-bedroom. Right. So it also has answers based in scalability, if that makes sense to everybody, right? Like, how scalable do you want to go? None of us have endless resources. Like, I'm not sitting on a trust fund, right? I'm going to have to find money just like everybody else, right? So because I have no advantages and my wife and I have enough money to self-fund maybe 3 units, after that, then what? Well, now we're looking for other things. If I blow all my money on 1 unit, you know, then it's like that conversation comes much sooner. So we can do a 2-bedroom and a 1-bedroom and a 1-bedroom, or we can do a 2-bedroom, a 1-bedroom, and now a studio or something like that. But if I did all big houses, I wouldn't be able to get much done. Right. Okay. William Burdine is posting the YouTube video in the chat. So thank you, William. I'm glad you made it. Okay, so that's effectively what the process looked like. We went out and we had this conversation with our landlord, and it allowed us to build the unit that we built. And now what's left? It's like we get a yes, what's left, right? So the next thing for us to do is to really determine how are we going to build this unit out? Are we going to use a Latanya? And for those of you that don't know, Latanya is sort of like the CashFlowDiary resident interior designer. And her team actually fly around the country to work with our students. They've just developed this reputation over time as somebody that knows how to build these units out. So are you going to use a Latanya, or are you going to design it yourself? You know, and how are you going to set up this unit? What quality are you going to go for? And that, again, is going to be answered by your customer type. My wife and I decided that we were going to be more on the boutique hotel side. We say boutique style in our unit. in our listing and all of that stuff, right? And so what happens is then now you're going through your schedule, right? Okay, so I got my yes, what needs to happen? Well, I need to start buying stuff right away, especially based on when is that unit going to be ready. Like if you're having these conversations with property owners with enough of a lead time, it may be 2 weeks before that unit is ready for you. Well, that's excellent. If you've got 2 weeks until that unit is ready, that's 2 weeks before you have to really come out of pocket for anything. If you're getting a yes on the 3rd and it's not going to be ready until the 20th, well, now that's time that you're able to dot all your I's and cross all your T's and start ordering all your stuff and getting it shipped out and all of that, right? All while the property management company is going in and getting your unit ready for you at the level that you need it ready for, if it needs that extra TLC the way that ours did, right? And so it becomes like a project management, right? Not like project management. It is project management. It's like, if you know that LaTanya is going to be buying all your furniture and setting up your unit, there's much less for you to do. So here's what it looked like for us. Let me just put it on the court. This is how it went for Jill and I. So we got our yes. We immediately got into action. We started reaching out to the students in the student group, started saying, hey, we're going mid-level Nordstrom. What did you buy? What items did you get? Our students have so many different lists of products that they started sending them over to us. And Jill just started cherry picking. All right, we're buying this TV. And when you follow the system, the living room, a 55-inch TV is going in there. You don't have any questions. Is it 43? What's the brand? All of that's been figured out. I bought a 55-inch TCL TV from Costco. Done and done. 2 bedrooms. All right, I now need 43-inch TVs, right? So now I buy 2 43-inch TCL Roku smart TVs from Costco, right? So now my TVs are handled, right? And that is the same thing for everything else, right? So we're getting our stuff from Pampered Chef. We're getting our electronics. We're getting our inventory. When we got this unit, we also got a storage unit. So we have a small storage unit that's actually attached to the building. We have to buy racks for that. We're changing out our locks. We put a keypad on our storage unit so that our cleaning crew. So like all of this is getting scheduled out and it's becoming easy to follow, right? It's our first one, so it's a little hectic and we're freaked out about doing it right. And we ordered some stuff too soon that could have been ordered later and whatever. We're all going to make these little mistakes, right? But you've got a schedule. And so boom, the moment that the unit is ready, we've got keys. LaTanya already has everything ordered. Okay. LaTanya actually sent her people over to our house to pick up our boxes. And she took our boxes to the unit. Now, had we known ahead of time that she would do that, we would not have done 80% of that ourselves already, right? But all this extra stuff is showing up. All these things that didn't show up quite on time or we forgot to order or whatever is showing up. And she's coming over and picking all this stuff up. So with somebody like LaTanya attached to this build out, what I'm able to do is just put the boxes into the unit. We've opened the boxes to make sure the stuff is the stuff, right? Making an inventory checklist. But then we just move all that stuff into the unit in the boxes, in the original boxes. And that's what you saw in that last image when I was going through the unit was our first round of boxes getting in there. Well, then they go through and they organize all the boxes. And at one point, all the boxes are lined up against the walls. So they know exactly where everything's at. It's all organized by room. The moment the furniture starts showing up, they start building. Jill and I are effectively kicked out of the unit. We're not allowed in there. She doesn't want us there. We don't help. There's nothing for us to do. So for 3.5 days, we're kicked out of the unit until the unit is revealed to us. And LaTanya gets such a kick out of it that she literally forced me into the unit because I was like, no, I can't go in. I'm waiting for Jill. She's like, you get in that unit now. Like really, it was just amazing. And so I walk in there and my jaw drops open because I'm looking at this unit that I never in a million years would have designed. Never in a million years would I have come up with that layout or picked that furniture or whatever. Right. But the point is that the system that Jay's created is designed so that if you want to build the unit yourself, it's ready to go. If you want a LaTanya to do all the heavy lifting for you, it's ready to go. right? You just write that into your budget. So that was a part of my $25 a square foot, which was me never lifting a finger to get that unit set up. So could I have got it for $10,000 less? Yeah, probably. Would it have looked anything like that? No. Would it had photographed that well? No. Would it book out that fast? Probably not. But what I know is that there's peace of mind with working with somebody like LaTanya, somebody who's professionally trained to do interior and who has now taken on this hotel style accommodation design, right? So that's what that looks like. And now all that's left is that as it's being built out, you put up your listing in coming soon mode, meaning it's ready to take reservations. You've got 2 or 3 images of units that aren't even yours that have the words coming soon on it. And you don't want to do this too soon. You want to basically space it out like 3 days from the time that you're going to be live. You put up this coming soon listing, because what Airbnb wants to do is they want to drive you traffic because they don't want you to quit. So they're going to send so much more traffic to your listing than they're going to even a week from then, or when your unit's been live for a while and you have reviews giving you credibility and proof. But they're going to drive so much traffic that you probably will get a handful of reservations, even in coming soon mode. And that's exactly what happened for us. We got 2 reservations without even having images up. It's crazy. It's like, this is working. I can't even believe it. And the moment our listing went up with full images and we started ironing out our pricing, it's been consistent bookings. And you saw we got a booking this morning. Your bookings are going to come in on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, and then it's going to be like crickets because people shop on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday for when they're going to stay that week or the next week or whatever. So you're going to get you're going to get booked Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, typically after 4 p.m. We actually got ours this morning. We had an early shopper. But that's how it works. You go in and you have your conversation with your property owner. You go in as a business owner, confident, connected to what you do, that you're a better tenant than any other person who's just going to be moving in there and living there. Right? And then once you get that yes, you start mapping out your schedule. Well, you want to stop and breathe and celebrate, right? Like, I recommend that you breathe and you celebrate and you go, I got my yes. Give yourself a pat on the back. Go out and take a night off. And then the next day, get into action, right? Start working with the students, start working with people. Hey, what did you buy? Like, look, even questions like what USB ports did you put in there is answered. Because look, I didn't get how many decisions went into a unit. Like, do I buy, like, even things like, am I putting lining in my drawers? Like, stuff like that. I didn't know. Like, I didn't know like that these were going to be questions that were coming up, right? But that's the point of having a coaching group like we have, is that you're able to ask and you get a question immediately. It's really fantastic. But so you order all your stuff. You either get it sent to your house. I recommend getting it sent to your house the first time. And then at that point, when it's time to get going, when the furniture's on the way, then you can move everything down to the unit or have LaTanya or your version of LaTanya picking everything up for you. And again, these are just conversations that you have with people. These are the expectations that you have of people, not does your runner do this? No, this is what you expect of your runner. This is what you expect of your build out crew, because those types of things are what are going to enable you to be scalable. So Mr. and Mrs. Mover person, build out crew person, what I need you to do is come to my unit and pick up all these boxes and move them down to what we're going to be building out, right? And move it all down there, and then it gets built. Whether it's you and your family, or a crew that you're paying, it gets built from top to bottom. And when you get this thing going and when you get it down to a science, you're going to get it done in about 3 to 4 days, right? That's the way that works. And about 3 days before your unit goes live, you actually make it live on Airbnb. And somewhere in there, you're tying your automation. You've had your Vivint installed. You've tested all that. If you've got a Vivint camera, great. If you're like us who needed to put a second camera in there, a Ring camera, because Vivint wasn't going to work for the angle and there was no wiring and all these things, then you get that all going too. And so you're just following the system in the order that we tell you to do it. It's all laid out for you. It's just laid out step by step, every question answered except for the ones that are unique to you. And as a group, we help you out on that. right? And then you go live and then watch your reservations. And if you followed what we've told you to do, as far as doing your front end research, putting it in an area where you know that there's a demand, get your pricing ironed out, you will be booked. You know, unless you're in an area like Tucson, Arizona, where in the middle of the summer, there's a lot of there's so few reservations that you're a true seasonal business. We're going to make all your money in a couple of seasons, not make your money in like the brutal heat. If you're in California or the Midwest or a place where people come, they're coming for skiing, they're coming in the summer, they're coming all the time year round because they have a reason to be there. People don't stop traveling for business because it's snowing. Then you're going to be filling up. And your expectation is to be booked 75 to 85. And then as your unit gets going and you iron out your pricing and you get your reviews, 90 to 95% of the month. Right? So you're able to take that ugly duckling and turn it into a stunning unit that far exceeds the money that you need to make in order to run it. Okay? Simone asks, are we using Nest? No, we're using Ring. I use Ring. Everyone recommends Ring over Nest. Nest would be thermostats. A lot of people are using Nest thermostats, things like that. My unit doesn't have the ability because it's an older unit built in 1966 and there is no central air, which is why my rent is $1,895, not $3,000 for California, right? So what we do is we put AC in there, and we also have the ability to bring in outside AC. At a bare minimum, you're going to put tower fans for every room in the house, which is what we did. And just coincidentally, this is fun. In California right now is the hottest day of the year. Yesterday in South Pasadena, which is close to Alhambra, we registered 117 degrees. And we have my very first tenant in there at 117 degrees. I'm freaking out thinking he's going to have the most miserable experience. I sent him an email saying, hey, just so you know, it was almost like a service announcement. Hey, hope you're enjoying your stay, blah, blah, blah. It was like this update saying it's going to be the hottest day of the year. As a reminder, you have 2 tower fans in each bedrooms in the closets ready for you. We also have a very powerful wall-mounted AC. However, what we have the ability to do is to bring you additional air conditioning units. Just let us know. Well, where are those additional air conditioning units right now? They're at Home Depot waiting to be bought. But that's the thing. I was ready to go to Home Depot in order to protect the customer service side of my business, to protect my 5-star review. I got proactive. I don't know if Jay would even recommend that I do something like that. Would I do that, or I just took it on. I am very attached to that. I want my customer service to be amazing. I want to protect 5-star reviews. It makes my business run. I get a couple of bad reviews, people saying, oh, this unit's miserably sweltering hot. You know, I don't want that. I don't want to get dinged immediately. So I am being proactive in everything that I do. I'm reaching out. I'm saying, giving them a service announcement, if you will. Here's an alert. It's going to be the hottest day of California. Oh my gosh, I hope you're great. Extra air conditioning is available. So now they have that extra level of support for me. And he responded back, hey, thanks for this update. Thanks for the area update. We're quite okay. Awesome. He's quite okay. And actually they're leaving around 10 o'clock in the morning and they're not getting back until 5, 6 o'clock at night. So wherever they're in my area, it's not to be in my unit. They're going out every single day. So great. You know, that's what we're taking on. William Berdine asks, does LaTanya still make it under the $25 square foot if she flies out or travels to a place like San Diego? She sounds amazing. Yeah, she sounds amazing. So William, what you do is you tell her your budget and she tells you what she's able to do. It could turn into some sort of a hybrid situation where she's flying out and designing it, and then you're bringing in people to build it, or she's bringing her whole team and they build it. The way it worked for us is for the first couple of days, because the kitchen stuff was already there and we were waiting for a Monday for the furniture. She sent one person down there. The kitchen was done 3 days before the furniture was done. right? So your schedule is going to be different based on like what your budget is, where in the country you are. You're saying San Diego. San Diego is going to be so easy. They'd probably just drive down there. Like I doubt they're flying from because they're in the LA area. They're on the west side of LA. So they would probably just drive down there and just stay in the area. So the answer is probably $25 a square foot, probably. If it creeps over by a grand or two, would that be okay? Yeah, should be, right?
Yeah.
And plus, if you're like me, if you're doing like a 600 square foot one bedroom for our next unit, $25 a square foot, 600 square feet, it's a heck of a lot different than 1,000, right? But William, I see you on screen. Did you want to chat?
No, I just wanted to say thanks for that feedback, because that's watching that 3.5 hour webinar. I mean, it was long, took a lot of breaks.
Yeah.
But it was really informative. I've known Jay going on for almost 12 years now. And
yeah, I know you were the NR community, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And have been a private investor of his for a while. But yeah, this is all amazing. I mean, for him to create this, and then yeah, I'm kind of excited for our chat tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that'd be great. All right, and that's a good segue. Everyone, like for us, what we're doing is we have a STAR short-term automated rental. We've got a summit coming up. It's 4 days and 4 nights in Orange County, California at the end of July. If you would be interested in spending 4 days and 4 nights inside of the conversation of what it takes to run a short-term rental business that's automated, just go ahead and like raise your hand. And what I can do is I can send you a link to have you fill out some information and schedule a call with me. Again, Cashflow Diary is a stand on this planet for entrepreneurs. We don't push you through to some sales conversation. You end up on the phone with me, somebody who's actually also building this business. I take every call one after another, 45 minutes at a time, all inside of the commitment to the entrepreneur on the planet, right? So you don't have that guru model with Cashflow Diary. It just doesn't exist over here. So if you're looking for a place to learn this business, you are definitely in the right place. So go ahead and just raise your hand or comment, STAR. Yeah, just say the word STAR. Don't say me, because by the time I get down there, I might not know what the heck you're talking about. If you say STAR below, I will go ahead and shoot you a message for an application to, again, fill out the information and then schedule a call with me. It's 4 days, 4 nights, Orange County, California. We're doing the STAR Summit. Right now, we're going to do this one, and then we probably won't do another one again until after 2019. So if you think that this is something you'd be interested in, if you just want to find out about pricing or whatever, it's fine. Just fill out the information. Jay, of course, will be instructing. We also have people instructing on how to run the books. LaTanya and her team will be down there teaching people how that they can design these units themselves. We have people talking about the automation side of things, working inside of our platforms that manage all of our listings across all of the platforms for us, as well as everything in between, right? And we've got folks like Rebecca. She's got 75 units. She's going to be down there training on her virtual assistants. We've got people that have 12 units who have gone from 0 to 12 in just a little over a year. They're going to be at the summit. So really, like, what does this look like to get started and then scale up when you don't have the resources, when you don't have money just sitting in the bank? How did they raise the money? How did they do that kind of stuff? So it's 4 days and 4 nights, all intended to expedite your business. How do you expedite this process? How do you really get this thing running? And our commitment to our students is that if you come to the summit, that you leave with your plan. Whatever phase you're in of your business, if you're in phase 2 already, great. What does phase 3 look like as you move into it? If you have no units, how do you get that first unit and then start planning for phase 2? How do you start planning your automation so that you know that you don't need to backtrack? Like my business right now, we've got 1 unit. That's it. Like I am not a master of this, but we have already put all of our automation pieces in place so that when we get unit 2, unit 3, unit 4, we're ready to go, right? So that's what we're teaching everybody how to do. I'm just following Jay's training too. He didn't give me any heads up on this. I'm just following the training. So if you're interested in the SAR Summit, go ahead and let me know, and I will just go. I'll shoot out a link to everybody. Mildred, I see your hand up. I'm going to go ahead and unmute you right now. Mildred, what's your question? You should be good to talk.
Actually, that was by accident. I'm just absorbing all the information. So thank
Okay,
you.
got it. I'm lowering your hand. I'm forcefully lowering your hand on my end, shoving it down. Okay, so Martha is asking, I saw a possible unit and they are renting it without a fridge. So you can request one. Most of them have them available for rent for like $25 a month. So if they offer a fridge to you for rent, just rent it. No reason to buy it. Our fridge isn't nice. It's an old white fridge that's too short. It is what it is. But we're not going to buy a new fridge because if we take their fridge out of there, now we got to store it. They're not going to store it for us. Right? So definitely make sure, if it comes with a fridge, great. If it doesn't come with a fridge, they should offer one for rent.
I'm sorry.
I short like $2-3 to catch
If-
bus to Chaffee College.
I don't have
Somebody-
any change. I'm so sorry. I used a card.
Oh,
Okay, sorry, I muted you, Mildred. So yeah, all I'm saying is that if it doesn't have a fridge, ask them if they rent one. If they don't rent one and you gotta buy it, just add it to the cost of doing business. I mean, if the unit is great, then get a fridge. Or rent one from another source. Like there's plenty of places that you can rent fridges as well. They'll deliver it, all that stuff. And then you can rent it and just add it to your monthly rent. Like the things that we added, part of our expenses is like we have a storage unit in our building. And it's an actual storage unit. It's a door. We open it up. It's about 4 feet across by 6 feet deep. It's just big enough. Just big enough. We are squeezed in. But with our 2 racks, we're able to house everything that we need in there. So we add $50 a month to our rent in order to do that, right? So that's what I would recommend. Simone, are you also using Nest in your unit? I think I covered that. How do we contact LaTanya or her team? Okay, so I can put you in touch with LaTanya. Anyone, if you want to get a hold of me, I'm going to go ahead and drop my email address into the chat. It's just dave@westeggenterprises.com, which is Jay's company that holds CashFlowDiary. So dave@westeggenterprises.com. Shoot me a message and I can connect you to LaTanya. Also, she is in the mastery group. So if you are in the mastery group, short-term rental mastery, she's in there commenting all the time. So you can also tag her in a post and just say, hey, LaTanya, Dave was talking about you today. Would be interested in connecting. And she's pretty fast about getting back to people. Are there any other questions? Is there anything that you want to see? Is there anything that you want to like look at as far as like our calendar, like what our listings look like, what the Ring camera looks like, the Vivint, anyone who missed anything? Because we are getting very close to 10:30, so I will take a couple more questions if they're there. Any other questions? Anything that I promised that I didn't deliver on? Any other way that I can support you and your efforts as a short-term rental operator? Okay, Jenna, can you briefly explain the overview of all the software like Trello, Toki, Price Labs? Are you getting bookings from other platforms? Is coming in from Simone. Yeah, so the way that it works is that as we grow, our unit will be listed on platforms like Airbnb, Booking.com, HomeAway, TripAdvisor, Expedia, VRBO, right? So there's all these available places. That's just 6, and there's over 30, right? So if you end up doing this overseas, you might have a completely different popular platform in your area that we don't know about or that we haven't discovered yet. So it's up to you to really find the ones that are going to be best for your business. Right now, Airbnb is obvious and the clear winner. Like you effectively really could just be on Airbnb and probably make a perfect living. But do you want to have a single point of failure like that? You know, the answer is obvious. It's no, you don't want a single point of failure. You're going to want to spread yourself out. So currently for us, because we are only a week into operation, we are working out our operation side of things. And then as our operation side of things is completely smoothed out, we know exactly that our linens are working. We know exactly that our cleaning crew is working. We know that people are getting in and out of our unit with no problems. Then we will start adding more platforms. And so the next one for us will probably be HomeAway as well as Booking.com. And then you asked about Tokeet. Tokeet is obviously the one that's recommended by Jay. So Tokeet, everyone, is above all of those platforms. It's the easiest way to put it. The easiest way to put it. So we log into Tokeet, and Tokeet will handle all of our communication and all of our bookings across all of those platforms, as well as sync our calendar. So if somebody comes to Airbnb and books for this week, well, now HomeAway is going to automatically update with that week not being available. And that's going to be a function of syncing our calendars across all of our platforms, right? Somebody communicates with us. Now we just have one place. We don't have to log into Airbnb, log into HomeAway, log into Booking. We can just log into Tokeet. So Tokeet is relatively new. They have their quirks like everybody else. They don't sync perfectly with every platform. There's no one piece of software out there that does this perfectly. People are like, well, why doesn't this work? Well, we work with what we've got, right? Like inside of any business, I wish every platform did everything perfectly. It just doesn't. So the sooner we accept that there's just things that are kind of quirky, the better the context of our business will be. The better context that we can hold close to ourselves as far as like, this is just what it is. Like, so be it, right? It adds 5 minutes. Who cares? So we're using Airbnb and Tokeet right now. We will then expand into other platforms as everything gets ironed out. We immediately are using Price Labs for our pricing. And Price Labs just syncs directly with Airbnb, right? So we have our Airbnb account attached to Price Labs. It's doing what it's doing, and it's telling us the recommended pricing for the days of the week. And so like at the end of this week, on Saturday, we jumped from Friday of $170 a night to Saturday being $280, $278. And they don't tell us why. They just know something that we don't know. And we trust them, right? It's not like it's because, like I actually posited that was because Beyonce was coming to town, and turned out I had that information wrong. She's not coming until September. The best we can see was that there's like an anime festival or something. Anyways, there's a demand in my area for property, and it's recommending that we go up to $278, right? And then also what we're able to do with our pricing platforms is we're able to follow a more aggressive model that, 21 days out, there's no discounts. It's just going to be the highest price they could ever book at. And then as we start getting closer and closer and closer, it's going to incrementally drop our price, because now it's getting closer and we want to book it. We don't want this coming week to not be booked. And we saw as a function of that, because our price had already come down by probably like 7 or 8%, that this morning we booked out a 4-night reservation. Well, had they booked that a week ago, it would have been a $900 reservation. But instead they booked it today, so it worked out to be like a $550 reservation. So you can see that we've got all this automation in place to make sure that we don't have to go in and constantly be updating our pricing. And if I have 5 platforms that all my listings are on, and I now have 10 listings, well, that's 50 different listings when you do the quick math, right? Like that's 50 different updates I'd have to do. Well, if I can just go in and push a button in my pricing software and push it out across all my listings, when I got to push like update and sync maybe 5-6 times instead of going in and manually updating the pricing 50 times. It's a huge time savings, huge time savings. And as our virtual assistant network grows, even things like making sure that our guests have checked in, making sure that everybody has the right code to get in their unit, all of that is going to be handed off to other people that are effectively punching a clock, checking in to work at 8 o'clock in the morning and checking out at 5 o'clock at night, right? Customer service hours. And as we grow, we'll move that to 24-hour customer service. But we train these virtual assistants to run all of these little manual tasks that these platforms will never do for us, because there's no demand on them to build out these little things. It's a demand of our business. So we're going to use virtual assistants to handle the little idiosyncrasies of our own respective businesses. Make sense? So that's the gist of it. And Jenna, if I didn't answer your question in its entirety, let me know. Trello, for everyone that doesn't know, it's a Kanban system. If you don't know what Kanban system is, it's a visualization of a task that needs to get created, or multiple tasks that need to get created. So you have a card, you've got lists, just columns of lists, and then a list can be as simple as need to do, the next list over is doing, and the next list over is done. So things move from your need to do into your doing, and then when you're doing them, that's great, and then when they're done, you move them over into your done list. That's like Kanban in its most simplistic. And so we love Trello. Trello is just a free piece of software that lets you set up your Kanban lists. And you can build project management against anything that you want. My wife has a Trello list for reaching out to property managers. And it's contacted, yes, no, follow up, all of it, right? And so we've had every single property we've ever talked to with notes about whether or not we even connected with them. And then that's how I'm able to pick up the phone and follow up with the ones that are interested in what we do, right? And keep that communication going. So we use Trello for that. You certainly can use Trello for the build out of your units. You would create one master Trello board. And then every time you've got a new unit, you would just duplicate it, right? Duplicate it. So now you can start working in it and not messing up your master. So that's what I would do with Trello. Everybody has done it, right? Picked what works for them. Some people just have a big old spreadsheet, and they're happy with that kind of a struggle, like going down the spreadsheet, clicking on the Amazon link, takes them over, they buy their USB ports or whatever, and then they just do that again and again, and they just follow the same sheet again and again and keep track of whether or not they bought something or not. Yeah, Vince, that's the correct spelling, Trello. Just go to Trello.com. You'll find Trello. Totally free to use until it's not. We've never needed to pay for a Trello board. Yeah, so that's Trello. I recommend you use it. It's really great. It's very simplistic. You can add a calendar to it if you want, totally free, but then they have a lot of paid add-ons. You can get like a Gantt chart if you want, if you're into the Gantt style of looking at your stuff. Really, you can get as granular as you want with Trello, and it's just a great starting point. I prefer it over things like Basecamp or Freedcamp or any of that stuff, any other property or any other project management tool. It's just so handy, and it's a perfect visualization. We use it for everything. Our students use it. When you are in the mastermind, we actually give you a Trello board that walks you through the setup of your unit. So I don't recommend it because we're using it. We're using it because it works, and then that's why we recommend it. Okay. Jenin, is there something where we can use Price Labs? Oh, sorry, it moved. Is there something where we can use Price Labs to check if our numbers work before we get the unit? No, you didn't. I think you mean, did I answer your questions? Were there any other softwares I missed that's being used? No, look, there's really nothing else that you need to worry about. Like, you've got the platforms to list your pricing. I mean, you got the platforms to list your stuff. No, and I wouldn't get too worried about the pricing. Like, not right away. Like, we were overpriced when we first went live with our unit. And that was a function of us asking the group and asking Jay what we would price it at. So you've got your listings on all the booking platforms. You've got your Tokeets to manage all of your listing. Then you've got your pricing software. And that's really it. And then in the future, you may want to add like a customer service database so you can start sending out emails, otherwise known as autoresponders or whatever. You can use the Awebers of the world or the GetResponse of the world. You can use Constant Contact if you want to. I don't recommend Constant Contact, but everyone's familiar with that, because they have a pretty aggressive marketing machine. But no, you don't really need to worry about much more until you've got a lot of units. And then at that point, you may want to add some additional stuff. I'm working with this guy right now who's also a student of ours who's building out a cleaning platform that's going to be app driven, that allows you to at a glance look at the status of the cleanliness of your units. Like, is somebody in it right now? Is it cleaned? Or is it in the process of being cleaned? Is your cleaner en route? Like all of that. Like, it's just cool. Like, we're in the middle of a brand new economy. We're in the middle of a brand new way to do business. The sharing economy is just giving us so many options. And that's why we're seeing that there's no perfect platform for anything. Hasn't been worked out yet. Until there's enough people running short-term rentals out of apartment buildings, doing it at a professional level to make it worthwhile for somebody to build a platform specifically for us, we got to work with what we got. Like, that's just our option, right? Like, that's our only option. Work with what's available and what works the best. Right now, it's Tokeet in conjunction with virtual assistants, right? Beyond that, you're just trying to dot every I and cross every T. You're letting all of your circumstances really dictate whether or not you're in action. And you can't do that. The system is built, it works. Jen, and I know what area you're in. It works where you're at, right? So we're always going to find a million ways to kind of stay out of action. All that's left for you now is new action, which is pick up the phone and call properties and start getting good at having this conversation. The system works where you're at. You're fine. Okay. That's the spelling. As part of your company, will you guys look at longer term bookings like 3 months? Yeah, absolutely. No problems. No problems. Oh, Jay's made it to the party, everyone. Everyone say hi to Jay. Hi, Jay. Jay, quick update for you. We're at 2 hours, and I said 10:30. I have to leave in about 25 minutes for a brunch with my family. So I can make you co-host and you can take over the call if there's a need for it, or we can just end at our at the next available moment, basically. So that's just the update. And I think Jay's probably muted. I'm gonna unmute Jay. There you go, Jay. You're unmuted.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we got you.
Let's just end at the next available moment because I do not know what the rest of today looks like. But I am here. I have made it. It is awesome. We are sweltering out here and dealing with the ramifications of it. So.
Got it. All right. Well, I still made you the co-host, so you're good to go there.
Okay.
All right. So Jenin agrees. Good, Jenin. I'm glad you agree. Yeah. Really, like, everyone, it's a fascinating thing that happens with human beings, and that's what we go to work on our circumstances. We want all of our circumstances to line up before we take any action. And like, here's the thing, and our circumstances have nothing to do with whether or not we're in action, right? Like, we say things that are ridiculous, like, oh, I want to take a vacation, but I don't have any money. And right there, you create this correlation between two things that sound like they're correlated that actually aren't correlated at all. You can still take a vacation and not have money, right? You can, right? I want to do this business, but I want to do this, but, and we create these correlations, but those correlations aren't real. So I want to know this business, but I don't know everything there is to know. You don't need to know everything that there is to know. You just need to be in action on the next step, and the rest will fall into place. Right. So yeah, absolutely. Make sure you understand how to price your unit, right? Make sure to get competent, become a 1 out of 10 at having the conversation on doing this business and reaching out to property owners. Right. That's all that's left. Really, all that's left is new action. You just got to be in action. It's never going to seem right. And if you're somebody who very often talks yourself out of things, how is this going to be any different for you? So trust me on this. Make the call, even if you think you have no idea what to say. Just do it. You're still going to be. You're going to be breathing at the end of the phone call. Go ahead, Jay.
What I was going to say is, not only should you make that call when you have nothing to say or don't know what you're going to say, you are going to be your most genuine self at that particular moment, and that's actually what people need to see. Because one of the challenges of you feeling like you know what to say is now you put on a different person or persona, and it's the genuine person that we all want to do business with. That's the person I want to know. I want to know, and specifically landlords want to know, can I count on you to be there if/when something goes wrong? And if you can transmit that in a genuine way, that's all that's necessary. And sometimes, yeah, it takes a little bit of education to gain that confidence, and that's great. But here's the good news. The good news is that it's a skill that you can learn And the only way to learn it is by failing forward, failing fast, failing frequently, and most importantly, understanding it is on those bricks of failure that you build success.
Right. Perfect. And that's we had a conversation earlier where, Santana was talking about who I asked her to put herself on a scale of 1 to 10 of having these conversations. And we ended up with her being a 1. And directly to what Jay is saying, everybody, go out there and be the best 1 that you can be. Do not be a 1 pretending to be a 10. It just doesn't work. Be the best 1. Embrace your oneness. I said it before, embrace your oneness and just go out there and the way that Jay worded it, be your most genuine self, right? And it's a muscle that you flex, and over time you will get better. And my recommendation has always been to call the properties you don't care about anyway. Just call them. And if you get a yes, then you can be bummed out that you don't want that property. Fine. Terrible problem to have, right? Just kidding. Like, really. Like,
let me add one more thing on that very topic. And I don't think I've ever even shared this before in any of our information. When I was first starting out just in business in general, I had the same problem, right? Like, who's going to want to do business with me? I don't know jack about either the product or the service that I was representing, but yet needing so that we could eat, all right?
mm-hmm.
And what I did, again, at my mentor's direction, he said, you know what, you're complaining about leads, you're complaining that you're going to mess it up. How about you do this? See, back then, we had this thing called the phone book, right? He said, here, call the phone book. It's a whole bunch of names and phone numbers. Call those people, start at A. I legit got on the phone. I started making calls. I don't know them from Adam. I didn't care one way or another what happened. Now, again, some of those people actually ended up showing up, which was pretty funny. But more importantly than that, I got the practice without the emotional attachment.
Yeah.
And from there, I built confidence. So we're not asking you to necessarily pick up the phone book. A, can you find a phone book? B, we're saying, here, start. You will never change until you start. I don't care how bad it sounds at the beginning. I've said it before, I say it again. Every master was once a disaster.
Yep.
Every master. There is no one masterful at anything today that is that wasn't horrible. Last night, because it's one of my favorite Marvel movies, I was watching Doctor Strange. Okay, so for those of you who are like, what? Why? Because it's also that principle. You've got a guy who's a masterful surgeon who ends up having that taken away from him, but more importantly, he has to develop a new competency. And where does he start? At the beginning. Because that's the only place he can start. It's the only place any of us can start. And it is your willingness to endure the beginning, to endure the failures, so how many ever they be, for the vision that you have. And I would submit this. If you're having trouble getting started, your vision is too small, period. It's not enough. It's not big enough to get you excited, because that vision has to be greater than the fear. Has to be.
Another
and
way
if you want,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say another way to say that is that you being connected to the future that you're living into, right? And
absolutely.
When you're looking at your future, we've all had that moment where we get so excited and so enrolled in the thing that now has our attention. Someone tells us about a new business, someone tells us about a new way to make money, someone's got something that gets you excited. And you're so connected to it that what happens? You start telling people, and then what else happens? You're immediately in action around that. You're talking about it, you're moving, you're doing things, you're taking steps, whatever that looks like for you. That future is as real for you as the hand in front of your face. And then what happens? A little bit of time goes by, that future fades, and then what? And then you're out of action. What happens when you start telling your mom, your dad, your friends, your family about that short-term rental thing that you've now been out of action on? Well, you start getting excited. You start remembering what made you excited about it in the first place. And then what happens? Then you're back in action, right? It's the craziest thing. The future that we're living into is what has us in action. So all of this is to say what Jay is saying, that your vision isn't big enough. You're disconnected from your future. If you're disconnected from the future that you're building, that's what has you out of action. That's it. So that's what is left in a moment when you're out of action. New action. What is left when you're out of action? Telling somebody about what you saw. You will re-enroll yourself in what you saw, and you will inevitably find yourself back in action the moment you get reconnected to the future. Try it. If you don't believe me, try it. Go tell your friends and family about short-term rentals and how much bottom line they make and how they make 3 times as much as a rental property. It's a hospitality business that's 5-star driven, that you get to create this amazing experience and all these amazing customer reviews, and you're going to be bringing in people from all over the world. And not only that, it makes triple the income of a traditional rental. And tell me if you're not excited again. And then tell me if you struggle to be in action. It's impossible unless you just really want to prove me wrong. Like, unless you really just want to be right about it. But yeah, your vision is not big enough. Your vision is not big enough is another way to say you're disconnected from the future that you're living in. That's it.
And at the end of the day, so I just want to say it doesn't have to be, oh, I want to build new hospitals in Cambodia, although there's nothing wrong with that. I know for myself, it started with something as simple as the big thing was, it's gonna, $10,000 a month. I would like to see what that looks like. That would be amazing. And then I asked myself very important questions. Questions are the answers, by the way, always have been. One of the most important questions I believe all of us can always ask is, if it takes me 10 years, X years, 5 years, 15 years, 20 years to do whatever it is that I am up to, if it takes that long, would it be worth it? So I ask you, if it takes you 10 years, I'm not saying it's going to, but if it did, to do whatever you're up to achieve the goal, 100 units, 5 rental properties, 50 short-term rentals, if it took you 10 years to do that, would there still be a smile on your face, yes or no? And if the answer is no, then increase the number. Add more to it until there is a smile on your face. That's how you will know that you are dreaming large enough. And that's one of the things that I had to reconnect myself to, and still do, is reconnect myself to the process of how to dream. Because I believe when we are going through our day-to-day, we have forgotten. As Dave would say, we are disconnected from that. We don't know how to put ourselves in that spot, because why would we? We had no reason to before you were introduced to something that now is being placed in front of you. And many of you, depending on the inside the group, you're watching transformations happen right before your eyes. And that's like challenging you. You're like, dude, I knew about this before them. I get that. And at the end of the day, the difference is they took action, and you have yet to take an action. You will be. And indeed, you're here today, and that's a good sign. Absolutely. The question is what do you follow it up with? And now that you've begun to break that pattern, what do you follow up with? What do you do next? And it's all uncomfortable until it's not. It's all uncomfortable until it's not. And over time, we go through these changes to where the big goal doesn't feel so big anymore. In fact, it feels small. Today, I get upset if we don't do $2,000 to $5,000 or more a day. I'm like, man, today was horrible, which is a change of paradigms, the change of many different things. But it didn't start there. It started with going, you know what? I wanted a $20 update for my iPhone. This was back when I was actually using Apple products, and the iPhone had just came out. I wanted a $20 update, and I said I would not buy it. Not because I didn't have the $20. I said I wouldn't buy it until I earned $20 of passive income. And I never worked so hard for $20 in my entire life. But it resulted in my first rental property. And I would suggest that you do the exact same thing. You put yourself in that situation. Not all of you were gifted what I was gifted, meaning you weren't gifted a spouse that could not walk and talk or eat or drink. You weren't gifted lung problems. You weren't gifted, quote unquote, reason to go out there and be unreasonable. You might have to create them. And another way of saying that is the comfort that you're currently experiencing is part of the challenge, right? But that's okay. It doesn't have to stay that way. And that's why you're here. That's why we're helping. That's why Dave is so passionate and excited. And then because he's experiencing it. He's seen it through our students. He's experiencing it now for himself. And it's like, oh my God, this is even better than what we've been saying. Am I close to correct, Dave, on that?
Yeah, we just looked. We got another booking this morning, and it was right in the middle of that piece of July that wasn't filled up yet. And it was funny because like Jill brought up to you, she's like, yeah, I should go to Costco more often. And you're like, you should go to Costco on Sunday through Tuesday after 4 p.m. and you're gonna see that correlation all day long, right? Which was to say that our bookings are going to be coming in on Sunday through Tuesday predominantly, right? So
Correct.
Here we are Sunday morning, 8 a.m. I'm making coffee and we get an inquiry from a guy who's instant booking qualified. And we answer his questions. He's a bigger guy. He's asking about stairs. I'm assuming there's some mobility concerns there or whatever. We answered his questions, let him know there's an elevator in the unit. Boom, reserved less than 5 minutes later, right? And so, yeah, and it's just like, boom, and then that came in. It was like for a little over $500, which really filled in that month. So here we are in July, our first week in operation, and we didn't fill 10 days of our entire calendar. Like the first week of July, the 1st to the 4th didn't fill. Now we've got like a bunch of orphan days that's working out. I think it's 10 days that we don't have filled. And not only do we break even, we put in the bank about $400, right? So I'm not here saying money, money, money. I'm like, I'm not throwing dollar bills into the air. I'm just saying, look, it worked. We put it up when we put it up. It got the business that it got. We were overpriced. We fixed that. We saw it course correct. And now it's like, this thing is just working. It's working. It's amazing to us. And yeah, that is why I'm so excited. We're so enrolled in this, and we get that once we have our pricing worked out, once we have a few reviews that are saying this place is great, these guys are great, all of that's going to impact pricing. And we just want to get to 85 to 90% booked out. Once we get there, we will be making all the money that we were promised, Jay. Just kidding. But it's like, $1,500.
I like that.
$1,500 a month in net profit is what we're looking at 85 to 90% booked, right? And so to only be booked out barely over I think we're at like 60% or whatever it works out to, and to still be profitable, that's insane. It's insane. 60%.
Well,
just following.
That was my point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's my point. People are always after they're always, and I know some of you, maybe you've tried to look at these websites and that are trying to tell you what occupancy is going to be because maybe you're a little nervous. You're like, is it going to make enough money? And here's the challenge. Every one of those websites are 100% inaccurate. They can't tell you what your occupancy is going to be for so many reasons, and that's a whole nother webinar for another day, and we don't have that kind of time. But what I want you to hear from what Dave is saying, understand every master was once a disaster. Dave is describing for you disaster, okay? That's what he's describing you. He's saying, look, I messed it up. Pricing was too high. This didn't happen correctly. This, that, and the other. And we still are going to come out $400 ahead, which is phenomenal. Because normally when you mess up, you are coming out of pocket, not ahead.
Business.
Yeah, you're right. And that's what I want to stress for all of you. And it's not because Dave is special, although he is special, but it's because there's such a demand and need, supply and demand. The supply and demand curve is so out of whack right now. And we have an uncommon opportunity for the common individual to go out there and earn record levels of income. Now that requires you becoming a different person. Chief among that, believing that you deserve $10,000 days, $100,000 months, because that is what is there for you if you choose to take this to the maximum capacity. which we still haven't discovered, by the way. We don't know how far we can go. We do know that some of our students are in the literally multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars per month stage, because that's all they're focused on. They're just driving the pony as hard as it'll run. And that's what's there if you want to grab it. And now it becomes an issue not of can I do it? Does it work? But will you? And if you will, then we'll be right here. I mean, CashFlowDiary has been here for about 5-6 years, helping people become entrepreneurs. You won't be the first or the last student. You're just the next one whose story we get to assist in. And that's what you are hearing from Dave. That's what you're hearing from every one of the students. And that's what you're hearing from me. That's what we're here to do.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Like really, guys, you gotta get the blanket of support that we provide. And just how much time Jay gives to a group as a coach, as well as, even just the Star Summit that we've got coming up, how much time someone could be flat out a no from the moment that we get on the phone, and the time that we spend on the phone just working through whatever needs to be worked through is what makes us special, right? And I don't want to pat myself too much on the back. I know what's available in the marketplace, and it's the reason why I decided to stay with CashFlowDiary rather than just come in real briefly and then check out after being a quick consultant, right? So it's just one of those things where Jay and we aligned so well with who we are for people, and I align with the entrepreneurs on the planet and the people that are stopped anywhere in their life. And now I get to apply it to two things I care about, which is moving people forward inside the space of real estate and entrepreneurship. And so any call that I can have with someone where I leave them better than they came is my life's work, right? That literally is my mission on this planet. And at the same time, I have to work and make money and survive and eat like everybody else. But then we go out and we do the things we care about, right? And that's all of you too, as entrepreneurs. There's things in your life, there's people that are waiting for you to get where you need to go so that you can offer the kind of support you've been waiting to provide for people. And when you become an entrepreneur and you find something like short-term rentals that generate the type of income that they generate, you get there that much faster. And it's our unique privilege and honor to be able to get you there. And we don't say it because it sounds good. We say it because we do it every day. And our students will turn around and say that about us as well. So it's really, really wonderful that we're able to do that. So as to what Jay's saying, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? When is it going to be now kind of a situation? How much longer do you want to wait to have the future that you're after? It's really simple. How much longer do you want to wait? And if you've got something going, that's amazing. How much further do you want it to go? And can we support you in getting there? It's really simple.
Yep.
Yeah. So, all right. We do gotta wrap it up, guys. I got 3 minutes before I gotta be out of here. So unless Jay agrees to stay on this call as the host, unless there's any other last questions, we're gonna call it a day. In the chat, I just want to remind everybody there, if you want to talk about the short-term rental summit, there is the link to go ahead and fill out your information and book a call with me. If you're not a mastermind student, you're interested in just becoming a mastermind student and being our newest student and our newest member of our family, the link is there as well. Take you to our free online training. If you haven't gone through our free online training, I recommend you just go and watch it. It's really, really amazing, valuable information. I go deep into the business model. We talk about the wholesale model, what you're going to get with the short-term rental mastermind business system, as well as just getting a rock solid, firm understanding of how this works and why it works so well. To what Jay says, we really are looking at so much more demand than there is supply. And when you do it the way that we say to do it, when you create the types of units that we create, when your unit goes live in an area where nobody is building out the units to the quality level that we do it, you just own your area. It's just inevitable. It's crazy. Which was the reason why I put myself where I put myself. There's no one around my unit that's doing it the way that I do it. It's phenomenal stuff. So really,
Hey Dave, hold on. Well, before you end, there's something that has happened that I haven't even told you about that that is very relevant to the point you just made.
Okay, got
When
it.
we went over, there's a city in Orange County called Costa Mesa.
Uh-huh.
When we went over there, nobody was there. And it was at first an alarm. So it caused me to do a little bit of extra due diligence. And I was like, no, all the numbers, everything lines up perfectly. The everything, they should be here. They're just not.
Mm-hmm.
Long story short, we've been in Costa Mesa almost a year, not quite a year yet, but we're approaching a year. And now when someone goes on to Costa Mesa, because I keep receiving these messages from the platform stating, here are these top similar places to yours. And all of the top, not some, all of the top similar places that are now in Costa Mesa are 100% either mine or one of our students. All of them. They're all, so it's hilarious.
To that point, guys, there's just something unique about being a professional who's running a system or just an amateur with Airbnb on your phone just trying to give this thing a shot. And there's a lot of people out there with Airbnb on their phones and they're giving it a shot and they're doing fine. By all accounts, they're doing fine. They're booked out 40, 50% of the month. They're making money, whatever. But look, anytime one of our students step into that area, who's going to get the booking first? We are, every single time, without a doubt. And that person who is doing well is suddenly going to see, like, if the demand isn't there, they're going to see a reduction in the money that they make. And it's because a professional stepped in with a beautiful unit that's professionally run with customer service, automation, all of it. And most of our students, when they get started, they start with more than one unit. You know, and if they're following our system, they're putting them really close together. So now there's two where there was one, right? And two direct competitors to that person. So that's the difference. It really is the difference. And we're looking at an amazing opportunity. And you do got a bit of time, but you don't got much. Like there's a land grab going on. People are starting to get this. More entrepreneurs are starting to see it. More people that are willing to jump in and do the work. You know, we'll see the amateurs with Airbnb on their phone not being willing to do this. That's fine. But other entrepreneurs who are willing to do the work will show up eventually. So get in and get your reviews and get your listings up and you'll be fine. You'll be fine. You're not going to, you know, I mean, it's the perfect time to start. I can't say it any other way. I am so glad that my wife and I are doing it. Just have no idea. All right. So everyone, it is now 11:01. If you're on your phones, I would hope that you've got something to write with. If you're interested in filling out the information to get a call about the short-term rental summit, go to go.cashflowdiary.com/star-app, A-P-P, Apple, Paul. So go.cashflowdiary.com/star-app. That's for the short-term automated rental summit. And that's the application link. Go.cashflowdiary.com/star-app. And then if you want to go through the free training, that's going to walk you through the whole business model as well as introduce the short-term rental mastermind business system, the full business system. Just go to cashflowdiary.com/mm for mastermind. Cashflowdiary.com/mm. That's going to take you to a page where you can register to watch the free training, go through that, and then at the end of the training, it will give you an opportunity to join the mastermind coaching program, the online training course. It'll tell you about the bonuses, all of the free stuff. I've got my wife standing over my shoulder with her purse on her shoulder. I think that means it's time for me to go.
Bye, guys.
We're going out to eat, and yeah, so that's it. So thank you everybody for being here. I really appreciate it. If you open up the email that got sent out from Zoom, it gives you my email address. If you have a question that didn't get addressed or something that came up, shoot me an email. I will get back to you. That is my pledge to you. I will get back to each and every one of you. But until you do that, I have got to say goodbye or else I'm in a lot of trouble. All right.
Yeah.
So, all right, everyone. Thank you very much for being here. Jay, did you want to say anything else?
Nope, I'm good. See you
All right,
later.
everyone. Thank you. Have a great day. Thanks for being here on a Sunday, everyone.
Great day.